Hi there guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Beard Necessities here on the Beard Solution. And in today's video I'm going to be talking about minoxidil beard gains and whether they're permanent or not, since this has been a recurring theme throughout the internet and quite recently on the Minox Beard Spot as well. So let's take a look at that.
Yo, I done 6 shows in a row, so my voice is hurting. Fans wanna hear what you're in person. Oi, oi. She want a man from Brum, but she settled with a boy from Burton. I still see feds on the block, still see the boy them lurking. He thinks I'm a poisonous person, inside the boyfriend's burning. There's too many keyboard warriors.
It depends. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Now if you have a full beard of vellus and transitional hairs, now a vellus hair is a thin, translucent, soft, wispy type hair. A transitional is still just actually a vellus, it's just gains some pigmentation and might be slightly thicker. But if you stop using, you will lose those hairs. The reason for that is because they have limited blood flow. They do not get a significant amount of blood flow like a terminal hair will. They're actually located quite close to the surface of the skin, and they lack in things like oxygen-rich blood, nutrients and androgens, which is why when you stop using minoxidil, which is a vasodilator, they will stop getting as much blood flow as they're currently used to, and they'll eventually just fall out. But let's take a look at terminal hairs. Terminal hairs are very much different to a vellus or a transitional hair. In fact, they're a completely different type of hair. And the hair on our faces is actually called androgenic hair. It's a secondary sex characteristic caused by androgens, male hormones, okay? Now, terminal hairs are thicker, they're coarser, and they're usually much more pigmented than a vellus hair or a transitional hair, okay? And they might not be the same colour as the hair on your head, and they might be blonde in pigmentation, or they might be grey if you're getting a bit older, okay? But like mine, I've dyed mine recently, so it's very black at the moment, but I have a whole mixture of blonde and brown and red and black in my beard usually, okay? Now, terminal hairs are located deeper within the subcutaneous tissue. About just got it out there, I always stumble on that word, but they have greater network of capillaries to the dermal papilla, which is where the hair actually connects to. And because of that, they get more androgens, more oxygen, more nutrient-rich blood to the follicle, which will enable to support it to continue to grow. Now, the reason that some people will be naysayers, if you will claim that those hairs will still fall out is because they're making a broad-based assumption that the hair on our scalps is the same as the hair on our beards. Now, as you remember before, I told you this is androgenic hair. It's very different to the scalp hair. Let's talk about Minox users for the scalp. Now, they're suffering from a condition called male pattern baldness or androgenic alopecia, and that is caused by the hormone dihydrotestosterone. And what that does is it miniaturizes the follicle to the point that the androgen state as well will be shortened, which is the growth phase of hair, to the point that your hair falls out. Okay, and when it does grow, it might grow as very fine vellus hair that you can't really see. It has no pigment. Okay, that's why if you've seen some of those photos before where they'll put like a small piece of paper on a bald man's head, it's still slightly above his head. Okay, very, very tiny, fine hairs that you can't really see with your naked eye. Now, as I said, that's caused by dihydrotestosterone, which is the same hormone that causes our facial hair growth. So it's illogical to say that it's going to miniaturize our facial hair follicles, because it's actually primarily responsible for the linear growth of our facial hair. And testosterone does have some roles as well in terms of follicle priming, but the actual linear growth of facial hair is caused by dihydrotestosterone, so it's not going to have any negative effects when you quit on your terminal hairs. Okay, so that's that one blown out of the water. Now, we do have examples of people that have quit using minoxidil and have retained their gains. Now, they might have jumped on way down the line, like 11 months. Now, say you were to quit minoxidil early, you'll typically see you lose your gains by about 3 months in, 4 months at most. But we have an example like Basic. He was off almost 11 months, I think, and he jumped back on to get some improvements and didn't lose anything between that time. We have other examples as well, but I'm not going to hop people's name out who might not necessarily want to be broadcast that they have used minoxidil to grow their beards. But I will say there is a fair few of people that have done that, okay? And there's a few cases as well within the Latin community. I know there is some YouTubers in the Latin community that have achieved permanent results using minoxidil. So it definitely is possible. Now, the reason why a lot of people get I guess discouraged, they think that their hair's terminal, they quit, falls out, and then they kind of dispute the well-grounded theory in science that we have at the moment, is because transitional hair can appear very similar to a terminal hair, because transitional hairs can have some level of pigmentation, and because of that, people can wrongly assume that because they have a dark pigmentation that they are then just a terminal hair. It's not necessarily the case. And the reason why I say a theory is because we haven't actually had a scientific study conducted to prove this from a scientific standpoint as such, but we can see anecdotal cases where we can essentially say it's a proven theory. Okay, now guys, I hope that's put some of your fears to rest. Before I continue and sign off this video, I want to talk about one last theory that supports our theory of why the gains stay, and that's something called paradoxical hypertrichosis. Now this is actually observed typically in women that go for hair removal. And we know that usually with laser hair removal, a lot of the time with women, it's on their faces, okay? Because they don't want people to see them with a fine moustache. So they'll get rid of the vellus hairs using laser therapy, okay? Now in up to 10% of cases, what can actually happen is it will get rid of the vellus hair and a terminal hair will grow in its place because the actual lasers themselves have created new blood vessels, and because of the greater blood flow, it actually grows out as a terminal hair. They called the process terminalization, okay? Those hairs are permanent. They're not just going to go away, okay? You can probably laser them off again, but they'll probably just come back as strong as they were before. So yes, there is science and theory behind why the gains stay. There is documented cases of why the gains stay. So if people want to continue to not believe in this, that is completely up to them. I'm going to be on Minoxidil for another year. I'm quite honest with myself, I'm not ready to quit yet. Still, a lot of this is vellus and transitional, and some terminals are in here as well. And I guess I'll sign off the video, guys. Thanks very much for watching. If you did like this video, then please do hit that like button. If you want to keep up to date with videos like these and my journey, then hit that subscribe button. And if you have any comments, questions, queries or suggestions, please pop them in the comments box below. I've been Adam at The Beard Solution, and I will see you guys again next time.
You don't rate me cause I ain't got a blue tick, but I got one on the top that gave me.
I don't even know what's real.